So hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap up. So I've split this wrap up into two parts. So first I'm going to be doing my O.W.L.S wrap up, so that is what you're seeing today. And then on Thursday I'm going to be doing my everything else wrap up. So I was participating in the O.W.L.S magical readathon in April. And I'm pleased to say I completed it, kind of. I may have swapped some of the prompts around a bit. Well, the books I was originally planning on reading, I changed a few of them, but only two, so I'm not calling that cheating. And yeah, so I'm happy to say I passed the O.W.L.S and I'm now a healer. So yeah, so I've got my bullet journal spread here. So yes, I'm quite proud of this, although there is a bit of crossing out going on. First prompt was Herbology, and that was to read a book where the title starts with an M. So for that I read Middlegame by Shauna Maguire. So I really enjoyed this one. So we're following two twins, Roger and Dodger, and they've kind of been like created, and one of them has language skills, so that's Roger, and then the other one has math skills, so that's Dodger. And then in Middlegame we're kind of just following them and how they they keep converging and kind of coming together, and just them kind of like being siblings, kind of. Well, they're not quite sure if they're siblings at first, and yeah, it's just kind of following their lives and then the kind of evil establishment. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. I really love Dodger so much. She's like the mathsy brain. And yeah, I think like my maths brain was happy. And just like when she was doing the maths competitions and stuff, that just reminded me of school when I used to do a couple of those. And yeah, so that was quite good. And also like, I don't think I'm quite as socially awkward as Dodger was, but a little bit, so kind of got a bit of that, so I like that. And also kind of I like Roger as well. Just the kind of their like sibling dynamic was just so good, and how they kind of yeah, kept kind of coming together and they like love each other no matter what, but also they have quite a lot of like clashes. So yeah, I really love that one. And then next for Patience, had to read a book under 150 pages. So for that I read Pile of Bones by Michael J. Sullivan, which is a little tiny short story. It's like the audiobook's about 50 minutes, which follows Sori and Mina, who are two of the characters in the Legends of the First Empire series. So Sori is like a mystic, and then Mina is her wolf. And it's just following their adventures a little bit. It's quite a simple story. I think she's just like going through the woods, and I can't quite remember what happened. It obviously didn't leave that much of an impact on me. But yeah, I really love Suri as a character, so I really enjoyed following them. So I gave it 4 stars. Just, well, Tim Gerard Reynolds, wow. His audio narration is just always so good. And yeah, it's just a really cute little story. Seeing Sori and Mina, oh. And also there's a little bit about the Ra, which is the kind of ghosty type figure, which I like, and obviously features later in the series as well. So that was cool to see. So then next for Charms, I read a book with a white cover. So for that I read Sabriel by Garth Nix. So I think I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as I was expecting to. I gave it 3.5 stars. So it's still a solid book, and it was written in like about the 1990s as well, which I was quite shocked when I learned. So it was really like good for kind of ahead of its time, I guess. And Sabriel was quite a good character, but I just didn't feel like we quite had enough time to like get to know her, almost. I don't know. I think just the way it was written, it was kind of almost more focused on like the plot rather than the characters, and I'm a big character like driven person. But I did think the magic system was really cool. It's like they have these bells which they ring and can do different things, like necromancy based. So there's like this one bell that they ring and like puts everyone to sleep, and then there's this other bell they ring and like everyone gets sent to death, and there's like these different stages of death, like different hell realms. I don't quite know, but yeah. And also there was this cat, like this talking cat. Well, I don't think they were quite a cat, I think they were like a demon in a cat body, but anyway, who I just really loved, like Mugget. He was so good. So yeah, it was quite a fun little adventure story that I wouldn't like overly recommend it or anything. I am going to continue with the series though, so hopefully I'll read Lyriel in May, but yeah, we'll see. Then next I read The City We Became for Astronomy, so that was read a book when it was dark outside. And I love this one. Well, I gave it 4.5 stars on Goodreads, but honestly I might round it up to 5. It was just so good. I think it might possibly be my favourite N.K. Jemisin book as well, with the pink sprayed edges. And yeah, it was just so great. And we're set in New York, and we're following these 5 characters who are kind of all embodiments of the different boroughs of New York. And yeah, and I just learned so much. Well, I learned a lot about New York because I didn't really know that much, honestly. I kind of thought it was just Manhattan and the kind of like the spirits of each different borough. And this was just such a vibrant book. Like, you just felt so full of life when you're reading it. And the characters are also great. Like, there's so much diversity, and also not just like race. There is a lot of awesome like race diversity in this one, but also like, well, sexuality and kind of age as well. Like, one of the main characters, who is probably like my favourite character, Bronca, she's like 70, which is so cool. The characters were also great, and I think as well, like, and kind of diversity of background as well. Like, some of the characters have been like New Yorkers their whole lives, but other ones have just kind of come. Like, I think one of the characters like just arrived in Manhattan, and then another one had been there like maybe for university for a couple of years. So I think that was really cool as well. But yeah, I just really love this one. So yeah. And then next, for Defence Against the Dark Arts, I was to read a book set by the sea. So originally I had Earthsea, but I didn't actually finish that one. So I changed that one to The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. So Jen Lyons. So I read this one, and this one, quite a chunk of the book takes place on this like island, which is like surrounded by sea. So I thought that was appropriate for this prompt. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think I gave it like 4.75 stars. This was kind of like everything I wanted Name of the Wind to be, basically, because we're following Kieran, and so at the start of the book he's kind of in like a cell, I think, and he's like telling his story to this other person, Talon. And yeah, it's just kind of him, and he gets discovered, discovers he's like the scion of this like big important line. I'm not sure they're quite like royalty, but they're very important people in this world. And yeah, it's all just like, if you like convoluted family politics, this is a great book. Yeah, I really love the world, and the kind of magic was quite cool as well. And I like the soul swapping. So some of the characters, they can like soul swap, so they're like, they become in a different body, which I thought was really cool. And also very handy, I would highly recommend. There's like a map, like a family tree in the back. So I wouldn't read this straight away because there are a few spoilers in this, but it was very handy. So that was good to like refer to, because it does get a little bit confusing. Like, I have seen some criticisms that this was like convoluted or whatever, but I didn't find it that confusing. Like, I mean, well, I don't generally find books confusing very much, but I didn't find this one at all. And like, it was very easy like prose to read. It wasn't kind of hard to get into or anything. I read this one like super quick considering how big it is. But yeah, it's just really fun. And I love Kieran. He's like such a dumbass, which I love. Like, and he was such like a Gryffindor as well. And some of the other characters I really liked as well. So yeah, I'm excited to read the second book. I think it is out already, but I actually pre-ordered the paperback. So when that comes, I'll read it, which I think is in July. So yeah, so I'll read that one. Next is Transfiguration. So that is a book that features shape-shifting. So for that one, I read The Tiger and the Wolf by Adrian Chavonsky. So I'm very happy I finished this one, because in like December I read about the first 200 pages and I was liking it, but I just put it down for some reason. I think it's quite a slow book. And so I'm quite happy I finally got it finished. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I gave it 3.5 stars, and the setting is like really unique. It's like kind of like animal tribes almost. And yeah, they're like shape-shifting, so they're like steps. So most people only like can step into one animal, and all the animals are like in their tribes. So it's like tribes of shapeshifters. But Maine, she's like half tiger, half wolf, so she can step either into a tiger form or a wolf form. And she's kind of been living with the wolves because her dad is a wolf, and then her mother, who she thinks was killed, was a tiger. And yeah, so just kind of following Maine as she kind of struggles between her two identities, and just kind of the politics of this like almost animal kingdom. Yeah, it was good. Like, but I think it was just quite a slow read. And I don't think I like, the characters were kind of okay, but I don't think I really cared about them like super hard. But I do think Maine was a very good character. I think she's quite like understated almost. She's quite strong, but she was also quite quiet and timid. and she kind of like grows into herself, and just yeah, her journey with the other characters was quite cool. So yeah, I like this one, and I probably will continue with the series, but like I'm not in any rush to. But yeah, so that was that one. Then the next prompt was Arthimancy, and that was to read something outside your favourite genre. So originally I had the Little Women sequel, Good Wives, planned for this one, but then I started that one and just wasn't really getting very far with it. So instead I read A Good Girl's Mind to Murder by Holly Jackson. So this is a YA murder mystery, and this was so fun. So we followed Pippa, who's trying to solve this like crime that happened 5 years ago. So a girl was murdered. Everyone thinks this certain person did it, but Pippa's not convinced that's what happened. So she sets out, I think she's doing her EPQ, so she sets out to try and solve this for her project, and just kind of following like all these twists and turns, and it was just so good. Like I was quite pleased with myself because I did manage to guess the like murderer quite early on and two of the like main plot twists, which I kind of like because it makes me feel clever and I don't really like it when plot twists like come out of nowhere. But yeah, and I think this was very well plotted. Like I don't think it was very easy to guess really, and there was like subtle clues. You had to like pay attention. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and Pippa was such a great character, and I loved her like relationship with Ravi as well, who was like trying to solve the murder together. Yeah, and yeah, it was really good. So I gave this one 4 stars. One of my least favourite tropes is when there's like a murder mystery but then the murder turns out to have been a suicide. That just drives me up the wall because it's like, oh, what's the point? Like, because I just feel like if there's not like a murder and a motive, it just takes away the kind of enjoyment. I don't know. But yeah, so I like this one a lot more than like One of Us Is Lying. But yeah, so that was great. And finally, for the care of magical creatures prompt, I had read a book with a beak on the cover. So for that one I read The King of Crows, which is the final book in the Diviners series. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars, which I think I've given like every book in the series 4 stars. Yeah, I think it was quite a solid conclusion. I obviously loved the ghosts. I'd forgotten ghosts like featured so prominently in this series, and yeah, I loved all the characters, and I kind of loved how like the characters in this book, they kind of get separated and then they come back together, and I think that was really good, and I think it kind of solidified some certain like character development. And yeah, I quite liked the story in this one. I mean, it was a little bit meandery in places. Probably could have been, oh no, I've damaged it now. But yeah, it probably could have been cut down in some places. Yeah, it was still a solid conclusion, and I'm a bit sad to be saying goodbye to these characters, but yeah, so that's that one. So that is all the books I read for the O.W.L.S Magical Readathon. If you read any of these books, or if you're interested in any of these books, do let me know and leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.